only to thank you for your participation. It is very important that we start our economic forum on the right footing. This is a landmark event in the context of the exercise of the Portuguese EU presidency in the Czech Republic. So I am especially grateful to Minister Taberova. Now I see her. Good morning, Minister Taberova. How are you doing?
Good morning to you all. Thank you, Ambassador. I apologize for disturbing you. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I will start with very brief remarks, only to set the scene. Then I will give the floor to my friend and colleague, Petr Čelepa, the Ambassador of the Czech Republic in Lisbon. He will also be very brief, and then we will proceed, starting with Deputy Minister Martina Tauberova, and then the Portuguese State Secretary for Internationalization, Eurico Brilhante Dias, that I understand is in Saudi Arabia right now. Or no, you are in Lisbon.
No, I'm in Lisbon, but I'm going to take the flight after my speech. I'm going to the airport.
Very well, very well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. So it is 10 o'clock. I will ask my team to put us live. You know that everything that we are going to say will be public, and we have during the past events a very broad audience in the order of thousands. So I guess that today again we are going to have a lot of people watching and listening carefully to us. So I will start now as soon as I get the signal from my team. Okay, most welcome to the Economic Forum, Portugal, Czech Republic. We are live on YouTube, and we can also access our forum today and the debate that will follow on many other social media platforms. Let me thank all the participants of this very important forum. It is remarkable that we have more than 120 business companies registered in this economic forum. And that number tells it all, that in times of pandemic, in times of confinement, we were able to put together more than 120 Portuguese and Czech companies in order to create a new dynamics in our economic and trade bilateral relationship. I am particularly grateful to the Czech government, to the Ministry of Trade and Industry of the Czech Republic, especially to the representative that we have here today with us, the Deputy Minister Martina Tauberova, with whom I will give the floor immediately after passing the floor to my colleague Petr Čelepa. Let me tell you that this forum aims at fostering the economic and trade relationship between Portugal and the Czech Republic. It is being held in the context of the exercise of the Portuguese presidency of the European Union in the Czech Republic, but also with a very broad worldwide audience. And it is a very important part of a cycle of events that we are organizing here in Prague, and that will also today have the final conference gathering the two ministers of foreign affairs, both of Portugal and the Czech Republic, Augusto Santos Silva and Jakub Kulhanek. So without any further ado, because we are really eager to listen carefully to the very prominent speakers that we have with us today, and I will introduce them as the debate will unfold. Let me pass the floor now to my esteemed friend and colleague, Ambassador Čelepa, the representative of the Czech Republic in Portugal. Ambassador Čelepa, the floor is now yours.
Muito obrigado, Sr. Embaixador. Sr. Secretário de Estado, vážená paní náměstkyně, Presidents, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to be present here during the opening session of the Economic Forum organized by the Embassy of Portugal within the presidency of Portugal's presidency of the EU. And especially Ambassador Luis de Almeida Sampaio, I consider it a unique opportunity to highlight the perspectives of further cooperation between our countries after the pandemic. And it has a solid basis because the Czech Republic's relations with Portugal have seen a very positive natural development, both within political and economic framework and in a cultural framework. It is true that the pandemic and the consequent containments have caused the reduction in the number of trade support events and initiatives between our countries, but I think despite all these problems, it is interesting to see that unlike many other countries, the decline in turnover between the Czech Republic and Portugal has not been as affected as in other countries. And it is one of the main reasons why the initiative by my extraordinary colleague Luis de Almeida Sampaio is more than welcome. It is noticeable that in 2020, during the pandemic, for the first time, the Czech Republic entered the top 10 of the countries of the European Union to which Portugal buys the most, occupying the 9th position of this restricted number of countries, and skipped this way 10 places from the 21st to the 9th, which is interesting, and that means that the pandemic did not affect that much the bilateral economic relation, commercial relationship between our countries. Economic trade and investment relations are therefore on the rise in recent years, with not only statistical data on bilateral trade proving this trend. The individual services offered to Czech companies, for example, by our embassy, have grown to, and most recently entering even in rather interesting domains such as film industry, for example. Growing interest of Portuguese investors in Czech telecommunications is to be mentioned too. To strengthen trade relations between the two countries, the two bilateral chambers of commerce, the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Tourism of Portugal and the Czech Republic, and its counterpart, the Czech-Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, are very important. And I would like to take this opportunity and send my warmest greetings to the two presidents if they are present in this conference. In this context, to be rather short, and for all these reasons, I think that we can conclude that it is undeniable that the relations that the Czech Republic has with Portugal are very significant, improving, getting tighter, and I'm deeply convinced that the outcomes of today's conference organized by the Embassy of Prague and Ambassador Sampaio will contribute significantly to this positive trend. So, once more, thank you very much. Agradeço imenso convite. I wish you a great conference and great cooperation. E, Sr. Embaixador, bem-aja e até a próxima em Praga, talvez. Děkuji, obrigado.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Čelepa, and thank you very much for starting the ball rolling at this very important forum. I will now turn to the Deputy Minister for European Union and International Trade at the Ministry of Industry and Trade of the Czech Republic. And let me say that this lady, Martina Tauberova, has been our staunchest supporter in terms of fostering the trade and economic bilateral relations. I am deeply grateful for your support, Madam Toverova. Without you, this forum would not have been possible. You know how I praise and consider our very fruitful professional relationship. Let me, in order to try to prompt your intervention, remind the title of our forum: When Portugal Meets the Czech Republic, the Future of Business in Europe. Is that so? Is it really the future of business in Europe? The floor is yours, Madame Toverova, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, and good morning to you all. I'm very pleased that we've found the time, and under the very active approach of Mr. Ambassador, that we have today's event. I would like to return the very kind words you've sent to me, Mr. Ambassador, by thanking you and your team at the embassy, and as well as to other co-organizing partners, the representation of the European Commission in Prague, the Confederation of the Industry of the Czech Republic with Mr. President Hanak to be with us today, as well as with other important partners today for making this Czech-Portuguese Business Forum happen. From the very initial idea presented to me by Mr. Ambassador several months ago, there was quite a long way to go and a lot of work to be done. And I'm very glad and I want to appreciate the work you've done together with your team to really organize this meeting with so many important institutions and partners, as well as other business mainly participants. So thank you very much for that. Ambassador Šelepa also, he already discussed and presented the scope of the Czech-Portuguese economic relations, and basically outlined very much the growing ties between Portugal and the Czech Republic, and together with significant milestones in our relations. Let me confirm that we consider Portugal to be a very important partner and a very good partner of the Czech Republic, and we welcome very much that the today's event is aimed at even enhancing our economic and trade relations in many areas. Also, let's not forget that this today's event is being organized in the context of the Portuguese presidency. And therefore, I think that it is the right moment now when the Portuguese presidency is basically approaching the finish line to thank you for all the work done during the presidency on a number of fronts. We have been very good and like-minded partners on a number of European agendas, and particularly in the context of today's business forum, let me stress particularly the EU trade policy agenda, where we really share the importance of diversification of our trade relations with many partners and regions such as Mercosur. So we were very closely in touch with your team in Lisbon, and we were coordinating very much our joint approach when supporting the diversified relations and the international trade cooperation and the stress on EU's open approach when building and strengthening the strategic autonomy, as it is now the main focus of the European industrial policy as well as the trade policy that will remain at the forefront also of the Czech presidency that will begin in just a little of over a year from now. So we will try to carry on the very similar message your presidency team was very actively advocating. Besides supporting the international trade framework, it is essential that we promote concrete business ties and projects, obviously, with our trade partners on the bilateral level. And that is why I really welcome the chance to participate at today's event. I'm convinced that the upcoming meetings within the four working groups will bring the necessary stimulus for the autumn roadshow of the Portuguese companies in Brno, in Zlín, in Liberec, in Jablonec, and other cities around the Czech Republic. We are ready to support the in-person business missions, and we are looking forward to renewing face-to-face meetings, which are simply invaluable, as we all know, when making the unpleasant experience of the COVID pandemic and the implications it all had on our day-to-day business and also on the face-to-face promotion of our business ties. I would like to stress the commercial exchange between Czech Republic and Portugal, which has been growing steadily from the beginning of the 90s, with the exception of the economic crisis of 2008-2009 and obviously the pandemic slowdown. Despite of the geographical distance, we achieved a turnover of 1 billion euros before the COVID at the end of 2019. We have particularly strong cooperation in tourism, in agriculture, and in food business, which will be discussed today. Among other potential areas for deeper ties are also our traditional areas of industry, such as machinery. There are also equipment for textile, also water and waste management, as well as defense, health, which is even more important, as we all know nowadays, and pharmaceutical goods. As this economic forum proves, apart from the important and largely traditional sectors that I have just mentioned, we can see a growing interest of Czech companies for Portugal in areas like civil and space aviation, transportation, construction, energy and renewable energy. All these areas we have mentioned and discussed with Ambassador when every time we met and also were planning today's business forum. Our firms are trying to open business contacts in these innovative, modernized fields using smart, nano, and other innovative modern technologies. These values are supported by the government of the Czech Republic, which places great emphasis on the support of modern technologies and strives to rank the Czech Republic among leading countries in the field of innovation and digitalization. Over the last 10 years, expenditures on research and development in the Czech Republic has more than doubled. And since 2005, a total of 42 billion euros has been spent on these activities. In 2019, the Czech gross expenditure on R&D reached the total of 4.1 billion euros, which represent less 1.94% share of the GDP. And with the innovation strategy, which was approved by the government a year ago, almost 2 years ago from now, well, we plan to increase the share of the expenditures on research and development up to 3% by 2030. Digitalization has been extensively supported as well, with the cross-cutting strategic document Digital Czechia, approved in 2018. Just a year later, the Czech government adopted the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy, and even more important strategy paper when we look at all the legislative acts and proposals being presented on the EU level. This context provides an excellent opportunity for our countries to find synergies and work closely, not only on the governmental, but also business level. And that is the main focus of today's event, obviously. A great example we really discussed with Ambassador as the aerospace industry, where we share a lot of priorities and know-how. It is, for example, was mentioning that Czech companies in the aviation industry are already successfully cooperating with Portuguese company OGMA, a Portuguese company providing service in maintenance and production of airspace constructions. On this occasion, I would like to point out that according to the FDI intelligence benchmark, the Czech Republic is the fourth most specialized economy for the aviation sector, measured by the number of companies in the sector per 100,000 residents. Only 3 other countries, which is the United States, United Kingdom and Sweden, are more specialized in this particular area. And in total, this sector in the Czech Republic employs over 20,000 people. And it's concentrated regionally, mainly around Prague, as well as in South Moravia, where we have producers of entire aircraft, as well as components ranging from aircraft engines to navigation systems and avionics. In this context, we very much appreciate that Portugal and also your presidency is focusing on the space sector. As you know, the Czech Republic is an active member of the European Space Agency, and Prague has been the headquarters of the Agency for the European Global Navigation System. And this year, the Czech Republic has also become a seat of EU SPA, the new EU Space Program Agency, which will also bring new opportunities for Czech companies and their partners from other countries, and will consolidate the Czech Republic's position of a space hub within the EU. We welcome that this gives us a chance to work even closer with Portugal, not only because of the personal Portuguese representation in the EU SPA with Executive Director Da Costa, but because of expertise as well. Space-related innovations are also inspiring because they can even provide solutions to other areas of our lives, including other topic discussed today, which is agriculture. We can be inspired by the products supported by the Czech ESABIC incubator, which complement a great way the robust Czech know-how in the agriculture sector. And we can also provide robust innovations in the field like smart cities or tourism. So overall, it is clear that every single area discussed today creates invaluable opportunities for closer work between the Czech Republic and Portugal, our companies and institutions, and we are ready to support them as the Minister of Industry and Trade of the Czech Republic. And therefore, let me conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by wishing all of you a very good and fruitful discussions and in these individual 4 panels. And thank you again, Mr. Ambassador, for all the work, as well as to others for really helping to make this today's business forum happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Taberova, not only for your kind words, but especially for the very important insights that you shared with us in what our bilateral and potential for further cooperation is concerned. I am very glad that you mentioned the different panels that we are going to devote to the companies and that will follow this opening session of ours. Those panels, they will take place amongst companies, but also they will have very professional moderation. And as you mentioned, the airspace and the other high-tech related dimensions like nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, we will have that panel moderated by a representative of the USPA, the new space program agency of the European Union based in Prague. And as you said, we are very happy that we have a high caliber professional heading that agency in Prague, Rodrigo da Costa, and we organized in the context of the Portuguese presidency here in the Czech Republic recently the first ever visit of the European Union heads of mission to that agency. And it was a golden opportunity to share views and to understand better how the agency can really be very supportive to bilateral and other joint venture projects. As you also mentioned, you are going also to have more traditional panels. Tourism, of course, I will come to that, the agro industry, but also public works and more material and construction related companies involved in a specific panel. So I think that we have all the ingredients to cover the essential dimensions of our bilateral trade and economic relationship. I am also grateful because you mentioned the importance of the forum and the sustainability of it. Our intention is to follow up this forum with a roadshow of Portuguese companies to the Czech Republic later in 2021. It was not possible due to the pandemic conditions to do it during our presidency, so it will take place later in the year. And as we also discussed, our project is that next year, during the Czech presidency of the European Union, we will have the second edition of this economic forum organized by the Czech authorities and taking place in Lisbon. And that will be hopefully the beginning of a very comprehensive, cohesive, sustainable trade and economic relationship. Thank you very much. Now let me turn to your Portuguese counterpart, Mrs. Tauberova, the State Secretary for Internationalization, Eurico Brilhante Dias. Our professional relationship goes a very long way in time. I am not going to spell out how long ago, because otherwise I would be telling too much about our age, and nobody needs to know. But we really go a very long way, enjoying a very fruitful professional relationship. So without any further introduction, because State Secretary Brilhante Dias is very well known in Portugal, in government and in the business and economic circles, the floor is yours, sir, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, and thank you from Lisbon. Well, firstly, Mrs. Tauberova, it's a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for your kind words related with the Portuguese presidency. Well, we are facing challenging times, but I'm sure in a year, the days are going to be challenging also. So good luck to Czech Republic. In a year, we are going to be with you in that difficult, always difficult task to be the presidency of European Union. Firstly, of course, dear ambassadors, dear Almeida Sampaio, dear Ambassador Schlepper, thank you for this opportunity. Ambassador Schlepper, your Portuguese is getting better every day. So in the next economic forum, you are going to introduce your speech probably in Portuguese. So it's a pleasure to be with you here in Lisbon and to work with you. Dear members of the panel, it's a pleasure to be with you also. I can see here from in my monitor, I can see a lot of friends from the Portuguese Confederation of Industries, Mr. Antonio Saraiva, Mr. Jakubinski from the Chamber of the Commerce, Rita Araújo is also with us, and Luís Araújo, and of course my friend Paulo Neves from the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce. It's really a pleasure to be with you, you all, and to address you some notes related with this relationship, this economic relationship between our two countries, but also some remarks related with the Portuguese presidency, mainly focused on trade issues. Firstly, these remarks related with the Portuguese presidency. Well, the Portuguese presidency, we have two main objectives, two main goals. The first one is to pave the way to our recovery and to have a more resilient Europe. Yeah, and in order to pave the way to have a more resilient Europe, we are working with all member states and of course with the European Commission in order to approve the resilient and recovery and resilient plans. It's an important task. We are getting every step needed in order to have those plans approved. Nevertheless, it's an hard work. We need to work harder in order to complete the process during the Portuguese presidency and probably during the next presidency, the presidency of our friends from Slovenia. My second remark is related with trade. Well, we have relaunched the negotiations with India. It was an important step forward in order to have a close economic relationship with that important economy. India is an important economy, not only in the Indo-Pacific region, but also in the world. We are working with our Mercosur friends in order to have to ratify the agreement with them, and we are paving the way in order to have a smoothly ratification process. We are working with Mexico, with Chile, with Australia, New Zealand, in order to have the modernization of some agreements and in order to have new trade and investment agreements. Our main task related with trade is to open Europe to new markets and to get to Europe an important role in the trade world. And more than that, if we don't have an important role in trade, the European Union will not have an important political role. That's why the Portuguese presidency is always working in order to have a more resilient Europe, in order to have stronger supply chains based in Europe. But at the same time, we are working in order to give to the European Union an important role in the world, in the trade world. So we are closing our presidency until the end of this month. And well, as I said, we are paving the world in order to have a more resilient Europe, in order to recover. And in order to recover, we need to export more, and we need also to import more. And we need to design or redesign some European supply chains. And that's why it's so important to talk with you during this morning, because Portugal and Czech Republic, we are countries with more or less the same number of inhabitants. We have stronger or quite stronger industries, mainly in the automotive sector, in the railway sector, in the metalwork sector. In the aerospace sector, aeronautics, Portugal is also doing a huge bet on aeronautics. And we need to talk in order to strengthen and to have a stronger relationship in order to boost our exports. And of course, when we are boosting our exports, we are also importing more and we are developing our internal market. Secondly, I need to stress also that Portugal and Czech Republic, we have also other strong and important industries. Automotive sector for us is quite important, as it is for you. Nevertheless, tourism is quite important for us, and we need to have more tourism in order to recover better. For Portugal, tourism is a quite key industry. We have a lot of jobs related with the tourism sector, and we'll have a lot of exports related with the tourism sector. We need, finally, we need to have that COVID-19 certification in order to travel within European Union, mainly within European Union, and to have tourism in Portugal, but also in Czech Republic, in order to have tourism in Lisbon or Porto and Algarve, but also in Prague and in other Czech regions. So it's quite important also to work in order to develop the tools that we really need in order to have more tourism. And people from our industries, from our tourism industries, during this morning, they can discuss those tools and how can they develop tourism between and among our countries. Thirdly, we need to focus on the future. And in order to focus on the future, we really need to work in digitalization. We need to work in technology. We need to work in order to develop the tools that we really need to to develop in order to have a more strong industry, but mainly an industry that develops different supply chains, different value chains. When you are producing in Europe, but you are producing in different locations in Europe using different technologies and different, of course, human resources and different raw materials. But in order to connect those dots within European Union, we need to focus on technology, innovation, and of course, digitalization. We have a strong and ambitious agenda related with digitalization in Portugal. I know, Czech Republic, you have also an important agenda related with digitalization. We need to share those agendas, and we need to define new opportunities for our companies and to our businessmen in order to define new opportunities to export and import services and goods related with digitalization. And fourthly, yes, we have the automotive sector and metalwork sector that are important for us, tourism, digitalization, but later on, we have also other industries that are important for us. The healthcare related industries. As you have seen in the last year during the 2020 was the year of COVID-19. It was quite challenging to face, and it is quite challenging to face this pandemic. But it was awful. It was quite difficult to see every member state flying to Beijing to buy goods that are critical to our lives. And we need to invest in our healthcare system, but also in our healthcare goods and services in order to have a more resilient Europe. If we don't have an healthcare system that is resilient, it's going to be difficult to have a resilient economy. That's why we are investing also in our health industry. Our health care industry, not only related with services, of course, we have our national healthcare system, but also in goods and services that are crucial and fundamental to address a proper response when we face a pandemic like this one. We cannot have in the near future, again, that scenario where member states are flying to Beijing to buy fundamental and critical goods. Of course, trade is important, and I really want to have more trade with China, more exports and more imports in a quite balanced way. Nevertheless, we cannot face the same scenario. And of course, we need to have more digital, we need to have more metalworks, we need to have more tools related with the healthcare goods and services. And we need to have more cooperation also in that sector. Several Portuguese companies are investing in new and different goods and services related with health, not only ventilators, but also other goods that are critical to address a proper response to this pandemic or to new pandemics in the future. And in the healthcare, we need to cooperate more. We need to have more goods and services provided and manufactured and produced within the European Union in order to have a more resilient economy. Because it's not only to be more resilient against pandemics, it's also to protect our economy from those kind of pandemics. So we need to cooperate more in this field. Let me add finally something that for us is also important. I've mentioned before how Portugal really is working in order to have a more resilient Europe, but at the same time, we need to have a more open Europe for trade and investment. And seems to be a paradox, but it's not a paradox. We need to define well which kind of activities, which kind of supply chains or parts of the value chain we really want to have within the European Union. But at the same time, we need to understand that we need to cooperate and to have trade with different regions in the world. If we don't have trade with different regions in the world, European Union will not be an important player in the world. That's why, at the same time, we need to define which activities are critical in order to be resilient. But at the same time, which kind of goods and services are we going to trade with Mercosur, with China, with the United States, with India, and of course with other countries and regions in the world. In that balance, the future of European Union, the future of our communities, Portuguese and Czech, of course, the future is that one. We need to have a more resilient Europe, but at the same time, we really want to have a Europe that is a player, an important player in the world, an important player when we are discussing different topics. And if we are not strong, and we are not strong in defense, if we are not strong politically wise, because European Union, we are different member states, only together we are stronger. But we need to be a stronger and an important trade player. If we are not an important trade player in the world, Europe are not going to be an important political player in the world. That's why it's so important to work with you today, in order to define those value chains, those industries, those supply chains where we need to be competitive, and at the same time we need to have, and together, those capabilities and skills within the European Union. But at the same time, we need to discuss how Portuguese and Czech are going to trade more, not only between our two countries, but also in third countries, taking advantage of our competitiveness, of our capabilities and skills in order to have a better economy and a better society. You have a quite ambitious program during this morning, dear ambassadors and dear members of the panel. But ambition, and our ambition is to have a better Europe, and is working like you are doing today, that is going to pave the way to have that more resilient and open Europe. And we need to have both, a more resilient but also a more open Europe for trade with different regions in the world. Thank you for this opportunity, and have a quite nice and productive work morning. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Mrs. Tovarova. It was a pleasure to be with you. And dear ambassadors, thank you for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to see the results of this important morning. And thank you all from Lisbon. And now, my dear friends, I really need to go to take a flight to Saudi Arabia. Thank you for your kind words, and have a good morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, State Secretary, for your kind words and also for your very comprehensive overview. Let me tell you very briefly in 30 seconds before you leave that in the context of the different activities that we organized and of which this forum is part, we covered also all the priorities of the Portuguese presidency of the European Union, having in our conferences commissioners, ministers, members of the different international institutions. And we devoted a conference specifically to health, exactly with the support of the European Investment Bank and very prominent high-level Portuguese representatives, not only discussing the pandemic situation, but also looking towards a brighter future with much more health-related investment. And I am sharing with our Czech friends and interlocutors the fact that Portugal has excellent examples in terms of the health system. We are, for instance, members of the M8 Alliance, the Medical Aid Alliance, created in the context of the then G8, and I am in close contact with the different medical Czech institutions in order to try to create joint ventures and common synergies. An important thing that you mentioned, Mr. State Secretary, was the export dimension. And there, I think that we can profit a lot from our relationship with the Czech Republic. More than 90% of the Czech GDP comes from exports. And that is a key figure that we need really to to bear in mind all along. Tourism, we will come to that. We are going to devote a special moment for tourism because, as the State Secretary said, it is so important for Portugal in terms of exports, but in terms also of the overall GDP. 14% of the Portuguese GDP comes from tourism. So thank you very much, Mr. State Secretary. Safe flight to Saudi Arabia, and all the best in your endeavors. Now
Thank you.
will turn to the. Thank you very much. I will turn now to the business key institutions that we have with us today. Without businesses, without companies, our institutional talk would be meaningless. It is very important that we have governments involved, but at the end of the day, it will be the companies that will really do the job. And now it is my pleasure to turn to Mr. Jaroslav Hanak. He is the president of the Confederation of Industry of the Czech Republic, very heavily involved in the relationship with Portugal. Your confederation was in Portugal last year, accompanying a very important visit of the then Czech Minister of Foreign Affairs. And I know that your relationship with the Portuguese Confederation of Portuguese Business is excellent. We will hear after you from your colleague and friend António Saraiva, but now Mr. Hanak, the floor is yours.
Dear Deputy Minister Martina Tauberová, dear Secretary of State Diaz, Your Excellencies Ambassador, dear President Antonio Saraiva, distinguished guests, Portuguese and Czech business community, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, dobré ráno po našem. It's my pleasure to address you as the head of Confederation of Industry and Transport of the Czech Republic, the largest employers and major business organization in the Czech Republic, providing a voice for employers at the national and international level. We speak for companies and associations of all shapes and size across the key sector of industry and transport. We act as an umbrella organization for 32 associations together with around 150 direct members. The total number of our members has now reached over 11,000. Portugal and Czech Republic are two countries with similar size and population. One of them located in southwestern Europe, the other one is held in Central Europe. We have very much in common, and there are many areas where we can complement each other. We at the Confederation of Industry of the Czech Republic are well aware of this. I am very glad I can be here today along with my colleague and friends Antonio Saraiva, President of Confederation of Portuguese Business, our partner organization. We cooperate very closely within Business Europe, the European Confederation of Business, as like-minded partners. We share a position on the key role of the international market, open trade politics, and free trade agreements, such as the trade agreement with the Mercosur countries. We follow very attentively the activities of the Portuguese presidency of the European Council, which is drawing slowly to end, and having in mind the Czech presidency in second half and next year. And due to historical circumstances, we can complement each other by helping Portuguese companies entering the Central and Eastern European markets, and follow our Portuguese partner to assist us with entering the markets of the Mercosur, Africa, or India. The trade volume of our mutual trade has exceeded 1 billion euro in 2019. Last year, unfortunately, due to the pandemic situation, we suffered a fall of around 11%. I personally believe we shall overcome this minor setback, and we will see more Czech branded goods and services in Portugal and vice versa. I believe Portugal is an important partner, and we have to invest more effort in building personal relations between our business communities and organizations. I believe no email or electronic platform can substitute personal contact and building partnership. We need meeting each other, walking together, and knowing each other better. I would like to wish you much success during this time, and I believe this business forum will contribute to the improvement of business activity between our two countries. Thank you for your attention. Děkuji pěkně česky za pozornost.
Thank you very much, President Hanak, and thank you for your encouragement. And we really believe that this forum, with your support, with your help, with the participation of the many thousands of companies that are members of your institution, will really create these new dynamics that we are looking for. Thank you very much. Now I will pass the floor to your colleague, your counterpart, the president of the Portuguese Confederation of Portuguese Business, my personal friend, President António Saraiva. And I have to tell you that every time that my professional life brought me in contact with Mr. António Saraiva, it was always not only for the betterment of the bilateral economic relations between Portugal and the countries I had been accredited to before, but also a very intelligent, strategic, forward-looking view about the importance of international economic relations. Mr. António Saraiva is not only the president of a very imposing confederation of business industries in Portugal, he became really a landmark in our strategic thinking landscape. President António Saraiva, my dear friend, now the floor is entirely yours.
Good morning, Mr. Ambassador Luís Almeida Sampaio, for your kind words about me is very, very kind. Your Excellency, Deputy Minister of EU and International Trade at the Ministry of Industry and Trade of the Czech Republic, Martina Taberova, Your Excellency, Secretary of State for the Internationalization of Portugal, my friend Eurico Brilhante Dias, Your Excellency, Ambassador of the Czech Republic of Portugal, Peter Salepa, Your Excellency, Ambassador of Portugal for the Czech Republic and main organizer of this event, my friend Luís Almeida Sampaio, my dear colleague, President of the Confederation of Industry of the Czech Republic, Jaroslav Hanak, my dear friend, how are you? Dear business leaders taking part in this event, online participants and colleagues of this panel. On behalf of CIP, the Confederation of Portuguese Business, let me start by welcoming this initiative, which aims to bring Portuguese and Czech public and private sectors closer together to find pathways that will allow us to face the common challenge of recovering our economies and putting them back on the growth trajectory that was interrupted by the pandemic crisis. I would like to thank the Ambassador of Portugal to the Czech Republic, my friend Luís Almeida Sampaio, for organizing this important economic forum and its subsequent initiatives which reunite all these participants. Indeed, Portuguese and Czech businessmen have a very important role to play in the recovery of our economies. So let us do it together. This economic forum comes at a great time for CIP and its Czech counterpart, SPCR. In November 2020, we signed an MOU at the CIP headquarters in Lisbon in the presence of both the Portuguese and Czech foreign affairs ministers. The memorandum signed together with my colleague Jaroslav Anak has the purpose of boosting business relations to achieve reciprocal economic objectives. This event is an opportunity to act on the very spirit of the memorandum, as today we are promoting reciprocal business opportunities for the businessmen of both countries to engage in cooperation in such fields as agro-industry, tourism, innovation, technology, urban development, and public works. In fact, promoting the best trade opportunities should always be our focus. And I do believe that we have much to learn from Czech companies which operate in the center of Europe, are well integrated in global value chains, and in an economy that achieves an impressive export GDP ratio of over 75%. In addition to the current challenge of the COVID crisis, we now face growing protectionism from all around the world. We all know that companies must be the heart of the recovery process, but we also believe that to thrive, they will need open markets where they can prove their value and compete. For this reason, we also strongly believe in open international markets as a crucial driver to overcome the present economic challenges and to deliver a robust economy that creates jobs and growth. Just like Portugal, I believe Czech companies are willing to take up the challenge to diversify trade sources and destinations, and to reduce the over-concentration on European markets. In this quest for external markets, let me bring up Mercosur. Mercosur could now become much closer to the European Union through the conclusion of an agreement. This would represent vast trade and investment opportunities for both sides to international conventions and social and environmental issues. During the Portuguese presidency of the Council of the EU, we have brought European and Brazilian business leaders and politicians to the table via a webinar aimed at creating stronger business commitments on sustainability and push for the ratification of the EU-Mercosur agreement. Although we still face many pushbacks from the two sides, both Czech and Portuguese companies should speak out for this agreement in Europe. The Portuguese companies already established in African markets sometimes operate through joint ventures with European partners. For the EU-Africa strategy adopted last year, CIP has defended the fortification of the role of the private sector in cooperation policy. To this end, the creation of conditions for private investments is ever more relevant. The areas we usually emphasize are local financing, education, professional training, and stronger economic partnership agreements between the EU and Africa regions. This would pave the way for the effective establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Africa is a vibrant market full of opportunities for Czech and Portuguese companies. India is also a promising market for our companies to operate in. We were happy with the results achieved during the 15th EU-India Leaders Summit held in Porto this May, most notably resuming negotiations on a free trade agreement, the start of negotiations for an investment protection agreement, and the adoption of the new connectivity partnership. During the parallel EU-India Business Roundtable organized by CIP Business Europe and by our Indian colleagues CII, we paved the way for further business cooperation in the areas of digital, climate, and health. As relations with India represent a major untapped potential for a business, we must push forward at this key moment of the Indo-Pacific economic development. We want to work with you and find new business opportunities for our companies. CIP members, business sector and regional federations, as well as all the Portuguese chambers of commerce and industry, with the support of ICEP, Portugal Global Trade and Investment Agency, are all valuable partners who want to work on this task and objective. Of course, in addition, we can also always count on the good work of the European Enterprise Network in supporting our SMEs, of which Portuguese members from the private sector are all associates of CIP. Lastly, let me stress the CIP and SPCR work within Business Europe, where as national business representatives, we have the task of reinforcing the dialogue of the European policies which impact our companies the most. CIP and SPCR have on many occasions shared similar views on EU policies in the field of trade policy, internal markets, and SMEs. Let me end my intervention by wishing you all a productive meeting, and I sincerely hope that it will lead to a most fruitful roadshow later this year and enable very successful Czech and Portuguese business projects. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you very much, President António Saraiva. You said very important things. Let me reflect very briefly, highlighting one key dimension that you referred to during your intervention. But before doing that, let me tell you that your interventions, the main thrust of your interventions, as well as all the interventions of all the participants in the series of conferences that are part of the cycle Europe after the pandemic that we are organizing here in the Czech Republic in the context of the Portuguese presidency of the European Union. They will be the subject of a publication, of a book entirely in English language. We have already the very generous funding from the European Commission representation in the Czech Republic for that publication. The idea is that book will be published during the Czech presidency of the European Union in 2022 as our Portuguese contribution, passing the testimony also to the Czech presidency of the European Union. But you will have the opportunity to review your interventions and even to add notes to it in order to be totally comfortable with what will appear in 2022. And I am saying that because your intervention immediately fits entirely, Mr. President, in the objectives of that publication that really needs to be a strategic forward-looking one. One of the aspects, a key one of your intervention, is the potential for joint ventures between Portuguese and Czech companies looking towards third markets. Not only markets within the European Union member nations, of course, but also looking at the Mercosur, as you referred to, looking at Africa, looking at India, markets that the Portuguese companies know very well. And there are markets that the Portuguese companies don't know well or don't know at all, and that our Czech friends know much better than we do, not only in Central Europe, but also in the countries that are part and parcel of the Eastern Partnership. There are markets that only our Czech friends know and that we could really profit a lot in terms of joint ventures, in terms of joint projects. And that is one of the beauties of the synergies that are yet to be explored. And when we compare our economies, very often we come to the conclusion that they are competitors between each other, but we forget the potential for synergies and joint ventures that President António Saraiva so well highlighted during his intervention. That is also one of the reasons why, looking towards Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, and other markets, that we have here in the Czech Republic a very imposing presence of Portuguese language studies in almost every university across the territory of the Czech Republic. We have a vast number of students, Czech students, that want really to learn better and to understand the Portuguese language and culture, also for economic and business and trade related reasons. So thank you very much. You really set the tone for one of the very important dimensions of our debate. I will now turn to Mr. Radek Jakubski. He is the Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce of the Czech Republic. And let me say at the outset that the Chamber of Commerce of the Czech Republic will be key, will be instrumental in organizing with us the roadshow of the Portuguese companies to the Czech Republic, for a very simple reason to explain. Contrary to what happens in other countries, here in the Czech Republic, the National Chamber of Commerce, they have regional chambers of commerce, a regional vast network of chambers of commerce that represent the national chamber in all the main regions and cities across the board. Brno, Olomouc, Ostrava, Liberec, Pilsen, the cities where we are supposed to go with the Portuguese companies and with the Portuguese institutions when we organize the roadshow later in 2021. And I count on you, Mr. Jakubski, to help me out putting in motion a very ambitious and solid program for the Portuguese companies when they will visit the Czech lands. Mr. Jakubski, now please, the floor is yours.
Mr. Ambassador, sorry, I need to leave to go a meeting with the Portuguese government and the social partners, and I wish you a good bye now. But sorry, but I need to leave. Bye. Thank you.
I understand very well. Please tell the Portuguese government about our forum.
Of course. Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Mr.
Jakubski, please.
Thank you very much. Dear Excellencies and important guests and participants of this panel. Mostly I have to say that Portuguese and Czech countries are pretty similar in size and, let's say, quality of human resources we have for our companies and in many other aspects. Unfortunately, we have no sea, so we are much better in transport, and you have much more skills in this, in sea transport especially. But I really appreciate that you organized this meeting, especially for the companies, and that's the purpose of it. We would like to connect the companies from Portugal with Czech and from Czech with Portuguese. And as I have been to Portugal many times, and I love the country and architecture and everything, and I have to say that people are really very friendly. We are for sure able to establish great connections between the companies and to make great business. As we all know, since the last year, the world has changed a lot. And especially we have all moved to these online platforms from face-to-face meetings, which is not equal. And we would like to return to the normal as fast as possible. And we hope that you can help us with this as a politicians, some of you, of course. So we would like to invite you to visit Czech Republic. And as you mentioned, we are ready to organize a roadshow for your companies in Czech Republic, as the Chamber of Commerce has a really huge network of some regional chambers of commerce. There are 60 of them all over Czech Republic. So do not hesitate to contact us, and we'll do our best to introduce the companies on the market. On the other side, we would really appreciate also trade partners for our companies, as both the countries are concentrated a lot on the products with higher added value, we can say, especially like space industry, health industry, and many others. So this is our advantage, as sometimes I am not sure if European Union thinks it's an island and we can save the world, because some parts of Green Deal, for example, I think are destroying our competitiveness, and that's a pity. What I really appreciate that during last year, many companies have moved their production back to the European Union, which is creating a lot of places for workers. But we also have to concentrate on materials, as my information is that now we are facing a huge problems with materials in the companies, and our production is not as high as it should be. So these are some important issues which we are asking you to help us. And on the other hand, we will help you with production, with added value, and everything what we can do as a companies. Just for your information, Czech Chamber of Commerce is covering more than 16,000 companies. So it's the biggest organization in Czech Republic. So we can offer you really a great service. And the future could be really great for both the countries if we catch it at the beginning of the restart of these days and after the COVID. So please, let us help the companies to connect together, and I wish the companies to find the right partners and to start a great business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jakubski. And again, looking forward for our very intense cooperation, especially when preparing the roadshow of the Portuguese business companies to the Czech Republic. Thank you very much. Let me now turn the floor to the executive member of the board of our agency of investment and external trade, ICEP, Ms. Rita Araújo. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. Your Excellency, Deputy Minister Martina Tabarava, Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassadors in Portugal and in Czech Republic, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, first, Mr. Ambassador Luís Almeida Sampaio, for the kind invitation to speak in this important forum. I believe it's the time, it's the moment to speak about all this and try to find ways of better cooperation between the Portuguese and Czech Republic companies. I'm here on behalf of the President of ICEP, Mr. Luís Castro Henriques, who unfortunately cannot be here today. I believe he would be much more interesting than myself, but here's what you get. Well, I'm very pleased to be here representing ICEP, the Portuguese Trade and Investment Agency, helping Portuguese companies to do business abroad and fostering investment in Portugal. We are more or less like Czech Invest. We are a one-stop shop. We want to be seen as a reliable partner, and we believe we are. And we try to help companies that look into Portugal for investment or to buy Portuguese services and products. Currently, ICEP is a global network of more than 50 offices around the world. We are located in the Portuguese embassies or general consulates. In Prague, we are represented by Mr. Pedro Leão, who will moderate one of the panel discussions this afternoon. So the companies that are present here that participated today can listen and meet Mr. Pedro Leão. In fact, the economic relations between the Czech Republic and Portugal are good, but we believe there is room to grow, and we should work on that. Most of the participants till now have been talking about partnerships, and I think that is the way. Portugal is highly committed in the promotion of economic relations between both countries. Czech Republic was one of the top 25 clients of Portugal, one of the 20th supplier in 2020. We have to look into these numbers and try to find out ways of learning with each other, and mostly introducing our companies from each side to know each other better and know the ways to cooperate and to partner. In this typical year of 2020 that affected all countries, Portuguese exports to the Czech Republic decreased, in fact, 10%. But the first quarter of 2020 was much better, and the exports of goods increased 11%, and this is a positive sign for sure. We have around 1,000 companies exporting to the Czech Republic, and this number has been growing. In 2015, we had less 30%. So we believe that the Portuguese companies are looking into the Czech Republic, and they are here today in this seminar, and probably this number will grow in the next years. And in fact, the Portuguese industry offers high quality, innovation, customization, and versatility in many sectors. Just to mention a few, I want to highlight machinery and devices, vehicles, agro-industry, plastics and rubber, textiles and chemical products. In what concerns the FDI, ICEP tries to be with the companies, and the Czech companies can look into and try to contact ICEP, because we are there for the entire investment project. We are there from the identification of site location, the identification of partners and suppliers, as well in the support through, why not, financial incentives for investment. And among Portugal's main competitive advantages, I would highlight the highly specialized talent. In fact, and someone just spoke about that. In fact, we are the second highest rate of engineering graduates in Europe. And we have this in common with the Czech Republic. Our specialized talent is really important. The infrastructure telecommunications network in Portugal is also reliable and important for investors who are looking into Portugal for new investments. The multilingual and cosmopolitan ecosystem, of course. You can see that, and now if someone didn't come to Portugal in the last years, should come and see how different this country is. Portugal is also betting on sustainability, on the green economy, on smart cities, and we are planning to do like a roadshow on that and show the world how Portugal is a smart nation. And of course, Portugal can be a platform to access the Portuguese-speaking market. This means the access for 260 million consumers. Brazil is the most important, but of course we have Africa and Mozambique, Angola and Mozambique that should be taken into consideration. And the Portuguese companies have the knowledge and they work in the experience to work on those countries. So this would be an interesting way of cooperation between the Czech companies and the Portuguese companies, I believe. And we have many sectors in which we are working the same. Of course, the Czech Republic is nearer to Germany, and that's a competitive advantage in what concerns the automotive cluster. But in Portugal, the automotive cluster is also strategic and really represents a lot in our exports in our industry. And Portugal is fast moving in conversion to electromobility and trying to respond to the challenges and all in this sector. It was mentioned about aeronautical and space industry, and we are very glad to let you know that we recently welcomed the German company RFA with the investment project to develop rocket structures in Portugal. This was an important step to put the country on the forefront of innovation in such a pioneering sector, and we believe many more will come after. Of course, the size of the projects is not so important in these areas, in others, because the projects are software development in the space industry. I've been learning a lot in the last few months about this, and it's really interesting, and it's really a pioneering sector. Well, let me talk also about the important international companies in the shared service centers. In this area, Portugal has been receiving more investment in this sophisticated and technological, not only call centers. We have now an exponential growth, and companies like Siemens, Mercedes, Natixis, BNP Paribas, Vestas, or Google, or Cisco, are just a few examples. And these companies are choosing Portugal, many of them with development, tech, software services to Portugal. So this innovative and tech environment is also perceived by the startups ecosystem in Portugal. Actually, we have more than 2,000 companies, 2,000 startups. This number is 13% above the average number of startups per capita in Europe. And Portugal is also home to Web Summit, one of the most technological and important events in the world, and the largest in Europe. Finally, in this area, Portugal was considered a strong innovator 2020, ranking 12th position in the EU 28, according to the European Innovation Scoreboard 2020. So we are happy, we are on the right way in this area, and hopefully we'll grow even more. Now we have been launching a new program called Startups Connecting Links, trying to introduce our startups, to other multinational companies, so that the big corporate companies can learn more about this kind of small companies that are developing so interesting products. And we believe that in the post-pandemic situation, we'll have many opportunities for cooperation and business development. I would highlight the structural projects that will be implemented with the recovery and resilience plans of Portugal and the Czech Republic. And there are areas of mutual interest and they are strategic for both countries. And of course, some of them will be covered on this webinar in the afternoon. Both countries present a range of trade and investment opportunities, and the companies should look into them, should try and work together to have a part on this. And of course, this cooperation is even more meaningful as a part of the EU strategy to strengthen Europe's industrial base. As we all know, the pandemic revealed the need to strengthen Europe's strategic autonomy, to make critical supply chains less vulnerable and more secure and diversified, as the Secretary of State has mentioned before. So Portugal and the Czech Republic have all the conditions to take advantage of the opportunities resulting from this trend and try to find way of being a part in this reinforcement of the supply chains in the European markets. Portugal is very interested and committed to broadening and deepening the economic trade and the relationship with Czech Republic. And let me just end my speech by saying, once again, Mr. Ambassadors, this webinar is right on time to create more awareness on the opportunities for trade and investment between Portugal and Czech Republic. I think that the companies are eager to know more, are eager to know new opportunities and to find out ways of working together with the Czech companies. So, ladies and gentlemen, please count on ISEP to be your partner. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Araújo, for your very broad, comprehensive remarks. Let me tell you that, of course, we always count on your agency, the agency that you so well represented today. As you mentioned, we are going to have the contribution of ISEP moderating one of the panels during the day, and we are benefiting from the support of your agency via your representation based in Poland. Let me also say that obviously one of my objectives and also one of the reasons why I so dynamically promoting a forum like this one, and the idea of having a very consolidated approach in what concerns deepening our bilateral relationship with the Czech Republic, with the roadshow, with the next year second edition of the forum, and then follow-up initiatives. One of the reasons is, of course, that one day after having critical mass, we will be in a position to open a full-fledged representation of your agency here in Prague. I'm looking forward to that day, and I am sure that my friend, the Deputy Minister, Martina Taberova, is also very much supporting me in this endeavor. So thank you very much. Let me now turn to the President of the Tourism Institution of Portugal. The President is there, Mr. Luís Araújo. Very nice to see you this morning. We said a lot of things about tourism, but nobody better placed than the President of the Portuguese Tourism Agency to say it all. Let me at the outset nevertheless mention that we are benefiting a lot from the very able presence of Petra Soszorkova, your representative here in Prague, very closely working with our embassy on a daily basis. I think that we are all benefiting from the fact that he is an excellent asset from your agency. Mr. Araújo, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. Well, I start by thanking the invitation to both embassies to this economic forums. Thank you so much to the Chambers of Commerce for organizing this. And as you very well stated, Mr. Ambassador, cooperation is crucial right now. and exchange of information is even more crucial and even more important. I'm here to tell you a little bit of the evolution of the tourism sector in Portugal, our plans for the future, and how we see this cooperation between Portugal and the Czech Republic. 2019 was a record year for Portugal in terms of tourism. We had 27 million guests. We're one of the 10 biggest countries welcoming guests in the world. And we increased our revenues from tourism to 18.4 thousand million euros a year. This represented an increase of more than 64% in 4 years. So we came from 11.5 thousand million in 2015 to 18.4 in 2019. Not only that, we've reduced the dependence on our main source markets to below 50%. Just to give you an idea, in 2014, the 5 biggest markets to Portugal represented more than 65%. We were able to do this thanks to connectivity, of course, but most important, positioning Portugal as a welcoming destination with a clear purpose, welcoming everyone and respecting the differences. This has been our roadmap over the past years. And most important, this has been what we've been doing in terms of communication for the country over the past years. We launched a strategy in 2017 because we still want to grow. And this strategy for the next 10 years until 2027 have a clear ambition, not only of growing the revenues, and we want to reach 27,000 million euros a year, so from 18.5 to 27,000 million, spread especially through the entire country and through the entire year. This strategy is very much focused on many things that we've been discussing here. Sustainability is at the center. It's very much focused on people, the tourists, the workers that work in the sector, and tourism represents today 14% of the GDP, and more important, 10% of the working force in Portugal works for tourism. Very small micro enterprises give or contribute to the best experience you can have in our country. So people, as I was saying, is at the center, tourists, workers, but also residents. And we believe that a good destination to visit is a good destination to live. So this is crucial for us. That's why we have been, as the Tourism National Authority, supporting so many projects in our country that will help develop this in the entire territory. 2020 is a year that I think we all want to forget, especially in the tourism sector. And I've had very close conversations with my partners or with our NTO partners in the Czech Republic, because this is affecting not only Portugal, but most of the countries of the European Union and the entire world, I would say. The measures that have been put in place by the government, by Turismo de Portugal, giving to the enterprises more than 2.5 thousand million euros in 1 year, 600 million of them with no return. So these have been the efficient measures in order for our companies to be prepared for the restart. And I'm happy to say that the restart has begun. Portugal is more than prepared to welcome any visitor, especially the ones from the Czech Republic. And just to give you an idea, we had 63,000 guests in 2019. As I told you, 2020, we don't comment on the numbers, but 2019 we had 63,000 guests, more than 200,000 overnight stays in Portugal, 1/3 in the island of Madeira, and that's where I am from. So I'm really happy to be here also, thanking you for those visits. We think there is a margin to grow, and the best way to grow this is by strengthening the relation between two countries, by giving more knowledge to the Czech Republic of what Portugal is today, but also to Portugal of what the Czech Republic is today. If we have this connection, this bigger connection, then it won't be a citizen from one country visiting another, it will be a friend visiting another. And that's our main goal right now. It's stimulating friendship between countries. We have a clear ambition and we want to restart, as I told you. We were the first country in Europe to launch the Clean and Safe seal, because we know that consumers have new demands. We've just issued the second edition of the Clean and Safe seal, reassuring that 23,000 establishments in Portugal, from golf courses to hotels, from local lodging to the airports, have clear protocols in preventing the spreading of the virus. This is essential right now, and we think it's the only way to rebuild trust. We launched 2 weeks ago a plan, a 6,000 million euros plan for the next 6 years, in order to support the companies and the enterprises, to reinforce the safety and security of those who visit us, but also to stimulate the demand and to prepare the future. I have to say that we have Tourism of Portugal has made a study on the perception of Portugal and the brand of Portugal, not only in the tourism sector, but any sector, in the 10 main markets to Portugal. And the perception that these markets have of Portugal right now is extraordinary. We're seen as a soft skills country with very high skilled people that speak several languages, but most important, that welcome everyone. And I'm happy that the tourism sector has made such a great contribution to this promotion of the brand Portugal all over the world. I think this is also the perception in the Czech Republic. And for sure, with more knowledge and more communication, we will have this even better. To finalize, and because I'm ending my 10 minutes, once again, thank you so much. And as you very well said, Mr. Ambassador, we do have a wonderful representative from Tourism of Portugal in the Czech Republic, Petra Sošorková. I think she will have a panel in a few minutes or in the afternoon. I invite everyone to assist, because most of the things that Petra will say and that we say to everyone is this: Portugal is a country that welcomes everyone and respects the differences. This is our biggest strength. We're sure that the future is very, very bright for both our countries. And please count on our side, on Turismo de Portugal, for this such fruitful relation for the future. And once again, thank you so much, Mr. Ambassadors, for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It is a pleasure, as always. Let me add that the Czech tourists that go to Portugal have also a very keen interest in Portuguese heritage, history, culture. It is very interesting when we talk, and we do that almost on a daily basis, with Czech tourists that either have been to Portugal or that are planning to go to Portugal. Their interest in our culture, in our history, in our heritage is remarkable, and that of course creates also a very important set of incentives for the deepening, the fostering of our bilateral tourism relationship. So thank you very much for your remarks. Indeed, the tourism of Portugal has a very prominent role here in what the action, the activities of our embassy is concerned, and we are having a panel this afternoon specifically related to tourism. I see that Deputy Minister Martina Tauberova would like to say something. Let me only remind you of the following. Unfortunately, we are already 7 minutes beyond our time. We have to end no matter what at 11:50 Prague time, 10:50 Lisbon time, because we are going to use this same platform to the continuation of other meetings, a meeting of heads of mission of the European Union. So what I am going to do now, I am going to give the floor to the Deputy Minister. I will try to have my very, very brief concluding remarks. I will give the floor to the Director of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Tourism, Portugal, Czech Republic, and his intervention will end at 11:50, and that will be the end of this inaugural session, and the companies will go on pursuing their businesses and their dwellings in the separate 4 panels in a very specific, very high-tech platform. Minister Taberova, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. I will be brief, I promise you. I just wanted to react to what, very briefly, what was mentioned by the State Secretary and then followed up on by Madame Rita from the Czech for the Portuguese Trade and Investment Agency, stressing very much that there is a very good opportunity and potential when debating the ways and sectors where to enhance the Czech and Portuguese business relations. Having very much on our mind also the strategic project of our common European interest, the IPSAS project, because it has not been mentioned, but basically it very much is in this overall context when we're talking about the strategic components, materials and products where we lack basically our own production and or are very much dependent from imports from third countries, that there are already some identified areas and also launched IPSAS projects where I think we should go in detail later on these particular areas such as microelectronics, where we have identified a few Czech companies and projects ready to get involved. We have also identified and presented 5 projects when we talk about hydrogen, IPSAS on hydrogen, as well as there are some other, such as the cloud IPSAS project. And there is, and I wanted to raise the attention of us all, because if one particular sector was very much focused upon and highlighted on both sides, that it was the aerospace and the space particular. And there is going to be an IPSAS project on launcher, the Launchers Alliance, to be established later this year in November, December. And I think that if there is a huge chance for our bilateral cooperation, then particularly within this IPSAS on the Launchers Alliance. And I just wanted to really touch up on it and really, I'll be happy to follow up on our discussion, Mr. Ambassador, when really trying to find interlinkages between our industries on this one. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for this very good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Minister, if I may, even before the summer break, after the end of the Portuguese presidency of the European Union, reflecting on the results of this forum, we could organize a bilateral meeting also to discuss in further detail exactly the dimension that you so well referred to. Thank you very much for that. Now, I am going to have my very brief concluding remark. I will leave the floor to Mr. Paulo Neves, the Director of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Tourism, Portugal, Czech Republic. You will end at 11:50. I mean, if he ends before, I will have the opportunity to say goodbye to all of you. Otherwise, I will say it now, thanking you all for your participation, reminding you again that we are going to have 4 distinct business panels that will follow immediately to this inaugural session of the forum, that we are organizing a roadshow of Portuguese business companies to the Czech Republic later in September 2021, and that we are already planning the 2nd edition of this forum for the 2nd half of 2022 to take place in Lisbon during the Czech presidency of the European Union. Mr. Paulo Neves, our first interlocutor when we start discussing the idea of creating this forum and the comprehensive set of events to deepen the bilateral economic and trade relationship between Portugal and the Czech Republic. Paulo Neves, you have 7 minutes before everything is disconnected. The floor is yours. Profit well from those 7 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, all excellencies and friends. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. What a fantastic job you and your team are doing in Prague for our bilateral cooperation. Thank you very much. Well, for these 7 minutes that I have, I will try now to transfer my presentation concluded a few hours ago, and I think this presentation is better to guarantee that we have the best information about our bilateral cooperation for until the end of this year and for the next years. Thank you, and we'll see you in 7 minutes exactly. Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, these times have come to challenge us, not the pandemic as such, as I believe others will follow, but our ability to respond to changing circumstances from one day to the next, and the speed at which we can adapt to changes we are making and of which we are a part in both the world of business and in family life. This time calls for us to be bold, for us to see the challenge we are facing as new opportunities, to see disasters as drivers of scientific discovery, contributing to compassion, culture, and progress, centered always in individuals and relationships between them. Relationships that have been so profoundly affected during this time, but for which a light can already be seen at the end of the tunnel. We live in a remarkable world. So too, over time, have Portuguese-Czech relations be an illustration of innovation leading to cultural advances and trade projections, with tangible results of cooperation. Certainly, when all is said and done, our differences and the distance between our countries' strategic positioning and cultures have served to bring us closer and pique our mutual interest. They have provided opportunities and discoveries, the results of which have consistently been used for the common good. This only not more visible because both Portugal and the Czech Republic are bordered by countries much larger than our own in terms of population and territory. And in the past, this has obliged us to take particular care, and in the present, to work in very close cooperation with these neighbors. Now that we find ourselves on a more even footing, we rely on our talents alone. Distances no longer factor in, and so recognizing old friends becomes an easier task. Our fellow citizens provide us with motivation, bringing us many examples from the past that we can make use of today. In the world of technology, all that is digital, commerce, proximity, and opportunities. I am thinking of those who brought the written press to Portugal from Moravia, perhaps from the ancient territories of Brno, Ostrava, or Romuluk in the late 15th century. More than half of the first books printed in the then Kingdom of Portugal were done by typographer Valentim Fernandes of Moravia, who brought knowledge in exchange for the propagation to Central Europe through the new graphic art of the time of the new products discovered by Portugal and traded in what was then known of the New World. He served as a business mediator between our nations, characterizing new lands, bringing us closer together and allowing us to get to know each other. Nowadays, all we do is repropagate this world to the Internet of Things via new media, carrying out business deal after business deal based on new opportunities, as well as heading specializing in textiles and footwear to our capacity to reinvent ourselves. Today, few remember us for our Portuguese caravels, but many are starting to see us in connections with the KC-90, a military transport aircraft born out of transcontinental cooperation between Brazil, Portugal, and the Czech Republic. Three countries that are incorporating technology into the competition for airspace and common companies while also connecting universities. The same universities that train our doctors, seeing almost 900 graduates, people's lives are not distinguished by language, but rather by dedication and by science in service of the future. Languages no longer divide people. The teachers at Club Café Pessoa, who come from Adre Cravole to the Algarve every 2 years, never cease to amaze, paying us a visit to bring Czech books to the Czech schools and take more books by Fernando Pessoa back with them. It is incredible to see the growing number of Portuguese language learners in the Czech Republic who read Camões, Pessoa, Afonso Cruz, and Natália Correia, and those learning Czech in Portugal reading works by Listopad and other Czech writers. Our differences are indeed what bring us closer together, allowing us to pinpoint what united us and the mutual benefits that can be derived when opportunities allow two countries with distinct strategic positioning to complement each other. The Czech Republic already serves as our bridge to expansion. Our cooperation even provides for joint ventures in cereals, allowing us to export early fresh Portuguese fruits and vegetables to Central Europe. In turn, Portugal is the gateway to the transcontinental Atlantic for the almost 300 million Portuguese speakers in South America, Africa, and Asia. Algarve oranges, Czech and Portuguese tourists, wines, and biotechnology intersect with human nature thanks to the entrepreneurial spirit and steadfast nature of those who continue to build bridges to unite us, has been the case since the first treaty that brought Portugal together with the kingdoms that make up what is the Czech Republic today, affirming each country in our diversity. These bridges mark our identity and will serve to connect us as long as we keep them open to the spirit of invention in order to discover that, after all, what marks us is friendship and personal discovery. A perfect example of this, and hugely significant for both countries, was the relationship between the first Czech president, Václav Havel, and former Portuguese president, Mário Soares. Václav Havel having bought a house in Albufeira as a result of health concerns. And speaking of health, the Czech are one of our leading suppliers of human resources and high-quality equipment for the sector. Portugal, in turn, shines when it comes to quality of urban renewal, solar-powered digital platforms, e-government, travel, and electric mobility. Quality indeed, the quality of a reciprocal relationship and mutual respect. And so it is that the Czech-Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Tourism, supported by the Portuguese and Czech embassies and all of our other partners, with support from the European Union through the Algarve Regional Coordination Commission, continues to commit to advancing, divulging, and supporting the shared progress of our populations.
Okay.
there is no better way to end our forum. Probably there is only other best way, with a big applause to all the participants. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and see you. Bye-bye.